Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Beth, and I just finished reading The Many Lives of Mama Love by Lara Hardin. This book was published in 2023, August of 2023. This is actually the book of the month for August, and it's about 300 pages long. This book is my first memoir of the year and actually my second memoir of all time. The only other memoir I've ever read was Tuesdays with Morrie, which is, if you have not read that book yet, please go pick up a copy. It is fantastic. This book is, in a word, genuine. Everything about it, the words that are spoken, just really speaks to the soul and speaks to the different sides of a person. Me personally, I felt like I could relate to this character, even though I have not gone to prison, committed any felonies, had children. I felt that I understood the duality in her character, as when she committed terrible things to terrible people, she kind of didn't believe it was herself. It was basically her need to use drugs to fuel her addiction, to escape. It really wasn't who she was at the core of her being. The prose of this book is not going to shatter any records, but I do think there are certain moments in the book that are important to latch onto, because there is a lot of meaning in what she says, because I think she wrote this so that it could be relatable to the people that she's personally affected in her life, because the author, Lara, was an avid reader, and she has a master's degree, and she went to prison for, jail, for 32 felonies. And so the women that she was in prison with and how she connected with them, I think that maybe the reason the book is written in such a way is so that it could relate to everybody and reach the most amount of people. And I think there's a lot to be said about, just writing the book in common tongue as opposed to really trying to relate out a story. I think for the most part, the themes of the book, they're not groundbreaking. I think most of the novel can be summed up right up here: a memoir of lying, stealing, and writing and healing. And I think, you know what's going to happen. You know that she overcame her addiction. You know that she found her love in writing again. And it's all about those nitty-gritty details about the people she met along the way and about her path. Because there were actually moments in her path where I was genuinely surprised that she wasn't able to stop doing drugs. That, when bad things kept happening to her and kept hitting her, a lot of times she just, even though she loved her children, she had a few boys, she just couldn't give up drugs for them. She was originally a Vicodin addict, and then went through NA, the 12-step program, and then became a heroin addict when her husband that she met through rehab relapsed. I think that the effect of drugs on people is not something that's been related well in a lot of novels, and I think that the author does very well in this, because most of them haven't done drugs to this degree. They haven't actually gone to prison for that reason, or, been that much of an addict, I don't think. And so, at least with heavy drugs, I'm not talking about, obviously there's writers that are large alcoholics or did psychedelics or weed. I think that those are a different category than heroin and heavy pills. But I think this really does well to try to explain why somebody has the craving for drugs and how it has not improved their life, but just made some kind of escape possible. I think there's a lot of love and forgiveness in this book. It almost reads like a self-help book. And I think that is partially due to the fact that she does work with philanthropists later in her life. I don't think that's giving away too much. And what she does, she obviously becomes a writer and does a lot of ghostwriting. Once again, that is within the description of the book. And I think that it's really just a touching story. I think that you won't glean anything much from the story other than the ability to empathize with more people. If maybe you're going through the same things as this woman, I think you'll be able to maybe pull yourself out of your funk. So if it was one of her jail buddies, cronies, they might read this and think, wow, look what she's done for herself. Maybe it will motivate them to be better. I think this is a very motivating book. It's invigorating because she messes up an inordinate amount of times. And she almost, ruins her future so many times. But I think, and even in the book she says this, and it might be a cliche, but it's important to remember that we're all human. We all make mistakes, and the only thing you can do is keep moving forward and not try to categorize yourself based off of those mistakes. It's important to remember yourself as who you are underneath and to contribute to the good that's inside of you. Are you going to just keep doing bad actions, or are you going to actually continue with your life? Because you could just stay stagnant, and I think this book doesn't really touch upon that, but I do think that if you keep doing bad things, it's not that you're a bad person, but in a way you kind of are. The scales are tipping, and you're never gonna cancel out the bad. She talks about this in the book, that you never can completely erase that part of yourself. You're never gonna get that retribution. And once you're sentenced to jail, no matter what sentence it is, the sentence is life, because people will never look at you the same. You'll always have trouble trying to... She talks about how finding rent and finding a job, it's really touching to hear, and just to have more compassion for those around you, because you never know what somebody's situation might be, obviously, because she tries to keep this hidden from everybody. Even when she was meeting with these renowned characters, she didn't want them to know where she was from, because there's a huge stigma behind just being incarcerated. So I'm going to say this is a recommendation. It's not going to blow your mind, but I think it's quite a bit of fun. If you haven't read Tuesdays with Morrie, I'm going to recommend that slightly above this one, not going to lie. So maybe read that one first, but still a good read. Have a good one.